Hello and welcome to Spoonie Space. That's our weekly web-based show made by Spoonies for Spoonies. You may think, what is a spoonie? Well, a spoonie is a person who has a chronic illness, a visible illness or chronic pain, and that affects them in their daily life. So we here have a panel of fellow spoonies, and every week we discuss a topic about what affects us in our daily life. Our topic for today is going to be cooking without spoons. So how do you manage to prepare meals for you or your family 3 times a day when you don't have any energy? So we'll just be discussing some tips, how to make it easier, and some easy recipes. And it's just a light topic for today. Well, we're here with a panel of spoonies. First of all, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Natalie. I'm 33 years old. I live on the island of Lanzarote. That's close to North Africa. And I founded our community, Spoonies For Life. And this is a part of our community, our weekly web-based show. I have fibromyalgia and I have Hashimoto's disease, and that makes me a spoonie. I'm in a big flare right now, so bear with me if I forget what I was going to say, because my brain's not really helping me today. Major brain fog. I'm going to pass it off to the next one to introduce themselves. Lois, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Lois. I am a 41-year-old spoonie housewife mom, although my children are grown, so don't have to do much momming lately, which is nice. Been a spoonie for 3.5 years. I've got fibro, RA, and gastroparesis. Those are my main issues, and I'll leave it to that. Let's go ahead and pass it off to Tina.
Hi, my name is Tina, and I am an admin of our Spoonies For Life support group, and I also do editing and contributing for our website. I'm a 42-year-old wife and mother. I have 4 young adult children in their 20s, so yeah, mostly don't have a lot of momming to do, but still some. And what makes me a spoonie is a primary diagnosis of fibromyalgia. I also have seasonal affective disorder, chronic fatigue, and anxiety problems, arthritis, a couple other things. My main problems right now, though, are pretty much fatigue and depression at this time of year. So fatigue really leads to finding a lot of shortcuts and tools to use in the kitchen. So hopefully we have a lot of information to share that way today. I'm going to pass it off to Christina.
Christina, you're still muted. We can't hear you.
There we go. Okay. Sorry. My fingers aren't working. I'm having a flare right now too. So my name is Christina Glenn. I just turned 50, and I am a spoonie because I have a primary diagnosis of Sjogren's syndrome, which is one of the many autoimmune diseases that I have. I also have fibromyalgia and a slew of other things, which we won't get into, which come with those. I am in a major flare right now, as well as Natalie is. And my main thing right now is just super fatigue and fibrofog. So I'm as we're doing the show, I'm trying to think, what am I going to have for supper tonight? So I'll go over to Catherine and see what she thinks.
Thanks, Christina. Hi, my name's Catherine. I'm a 54-year-old empty nester, and I'm a spoonie because I have fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's disease. I also am bipolar and deal with chronic depression. I have 2 grown children, but my biggest challenge every day is I am a caregiver for a Spoonie, and a lot of times she doesn't want to go down to the dining facility where she lives, so I end up cooking. So I've been listening to a lot of people talking about shortcuts, and I really enjoy them. And I guess that's about it for me right now. I'll send it over to Lois.
I'm going to send it back to Natalie.
Thank you. Catherine, I don't know if the rest heard, but the microphone is not really working very well. So I don't know if you can check that. But okay, so we're going to talk about cooking. Well, I have to say, for a start, I never liked cooking. And I never really cooked a lot for myself. I would prepare like salads and just easy meals. But with my Hashimoto becoming worse and worse, and since last February, I have a lot of problems in my tummy. I don't know what's wrong. It's probably a bacteria somewhere, but I can't have any raw food anymore. So I'm forced to cook for myself. Now, I've also started a diet. It's called the autoimmune protocol. It's like a very, very strict version of a paleo diet. So there's no sugar, no gluten, no dairy, and no nightshades. And I'm kind of figuring out all the things that I react badly to. I've figured out that I react very badly to onion, which usually there's nothing wrong with onion, but obviously, apparently I can't have onion. So I'm trying to figure out which foods annoy me, basically. And since I cannot have any raw or any gluten or any grains, actually, I can't make a sandwich, I can't make a salad, so I'm forced to cook 3 to 4 times a day. I've been doing this now for about, I think, 6 months. So I've been getting very, very good at preparing easy meals, and I batch cook. So my first tip would be to batch cook. Like I said, I live on Lanzarote. It's a small island, so I don't have a lot of choices of where to buy my food. I'm originally from Amsterdam, so I'm used that I can get everything in the store. And if the store on the left doesn't have it, the store on the right will have it. But that's not the case if you live on a small island. So every Saturday I go to the biological market and I see what kind of vegetables they have that week. It's a surprise every week. And I just buy a lot of things there, and then I batch cook. So Saturday is my cooking day where I prepare a lot of my breakfast because I have to have cooked meals for breakfast. So I'll make a pumpkin sweet potato mash. I really like that with salt and cinnamon. That's nice and sweet for breakfast. Or I'll make chicken hash brownies. That's basically just minced chicken meat with grated sweet potato and made into like small kind of pancakey things. And I will cook that all Saturday afternoon, and that will most likely be for the rest of the week. So that's kind of my story and my tips. I'm going to pass it over to Tina to give some of her tips.
Well, like you said, batch cooking is a big thing. One thing that I use a lot is the Ziploc bag. And when I get fresh veggies, or I get, right now we're getting tons and tons of stuff from the garden. So I will cook up all the squash and I will put them in a Ziploc, because you can smush it down and it's nice and flat, and you can stack them in the freezer. And then when it's time to cook, you just take out your veggie for the night. We also do the same thing, like a gallon size bag is great for soups or chilies. Spaghetti sauce is a big one in my family. I know Christina's Italian, and I'm sure she's got a great recipe too. My husband is Italian, so we always have sauce in about the same size. That's good for 2 people, the little quart size. And like I said, we make a whole big batch and we just stack them up in the freezer. I did a lot of freezer to oven or freezer to crock pot type meals when my kids were young, especially when they were teenagers, because everybody was going everywhere and there was never time to cook in the evening. But during the weekend, I would make all the meals so I could just pop it in the crock pot in the morning, turn it on, go to work, and then it would be ready when I was time to come home at night. So that's my big thing for, especially when we had a young family, was the crock pot cooking from batch cooking. Kathy, do you have something?
Is my mic okay, or is I still having trouble?
It's a little crackly.
Okay, I'll do it real quick, and then I'll bow out and let you guys do anything. For me, the three things that are important for me with cooking is a rice cooker, a crock pot, and we have what's called a power air fryer. You can fry things without oil, which is really good. So those are the three things that I'll advise everyone to absolutely have in their household. And I wish you guys luck with this thing today. I'll have my husband fix my computer tonight, so I'm ready for next week. Have a good day, guys.
Christina, can you give us your tips?
Yes, I can. By the way, Tina, I wanted to tell you, I do have, a garden full of tomatoes, and I cook them, peel them, throw them in the freezer. I've got like 10, 15 bags in there right now, so I can make my own gravy. But as far, but I'm going to be realistic now. I used to cook all the time. I mean, from scratch, I'd cook every night. Can't do that anymore. So I'm the bad person here today because Natalie cooks healthy and all this stuff. But there are a lot of foods that are inflammatory, so we have to be careful. Now, when I'm cooking, like I said, for myself lately, I've been throwing in microwave meals for just me because I'm having gastrointestinal problems right now because of some medication I'm on. But for the kids and my husband, my dish and my cups, I am the total lazy bum because I'll go out and buy the steamer. Now, I don't use Green Giant, but I use Bird's Eye. I'll use the steamer vegetables. You throw them in the microwave, 90 seconds, they're done. Same with, you can get the rice that way. Boom, they're done. I mean, I can have a dinner cooked in literally in 10 minutes. The chicken, now I'll get the kind where I don't have to peel it or anything. I don't have to take the skin off or do anything. I always use coconut oil or olive oil, of course. And I bake everything, but that'll take, like, sometimes it'll take 50 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on what I'm cooking meat wise, but I usually use poultry or pork. But the thing is, a lot of times I get the already pre-cooked chicken, grilled chicken strips, and I get the chopped lettuce bags, and they come in like, they have kale in them, carrots, all kinds of, I know, Natalie, you can't eat lettuce, but it helps me with some of my IBS issues. But it's very healthy for the kids, and I put like mandarin oranges in it and sesame seeds, and you can put any kind of almonds or almond slices, whatever. And then I just quickly cook the chicken on the stove in a pan with coconut oil. It takes about 7 to 10 minutes, and then I put whatever kind of something or spices on it, and then I put it over the salad, and then you have a chicken salad. My husband loves it because it's healthier and it's easy, and he doesn't like me to have to stand up a lot. So, and then once a week he takes the boys out to Buffalo Wild Wings for wing night on Thursdays. But I try to keep things as simple as possible, and I don't do a lot of the, like you said, the bundling storage stuff. I don't do a lot of that, which I should probably. But I used to cook. When I did cook, I would cook for an army. I don't know if it's all Italians that do that, but I would cook for like 3 people. I would have enough for 12. And so I'd have all this leftover food. But that's what I do. I try to make things as simple as possible. I use the quick, easy, bam, bam, boom, make sure that I'm using either fresh or frozen. I don't use canned vegetables or anything like that, because the salt has a lot of sugar in it too as well. And I watch the sugar intake too. So that's it for me. I think we hadn't heard from, I can't see your name down there.
I'll take
Vulcan?
it. Yeah.
Okay. Tina.
I got it. Thank you. I guess my tips for cooking, I guess first I should be honest. Since moving to Las Vegas over a year ago, the convenience of order out and having it be not very expensive is just way too tempting and way too easy when there's just the two of us. So, and especially when, you know, you wake up at 3 a.m. and you're hungry, you can order something at 3 a.m. here. So that has made me not have to cook as much, which has been a blessing and nice, although it's probably not so healthy, although we try to order good stuff sometimes. So I'm going to have to go back to my days when I had my kids and was going to school and working and a husband and everything. And so back then what I used to do is a lot of kind of the same as Natalie and Tina. I would prepare a lot in advance, pre-cook meats, pre-cook vegetables, anything that could be pre-cooked, or take and let's say if I'm going to make rice with a meal, I will make, even now, I will make enough rice to go for several days worth. And, you know, you can also take that and turn it into other meals, fried rice, add it into soups, add it into whatever you like, but you already have it pre-cooked sitting in the fridge ready for you. So I do like to do that. Same with pastas. And now that we're coming, well, not in Vegas, but for the rest of the country that is headed into fall and winter, it's soups time. So, you know, what a perfect time if you don't have a crock pot to get a crock pot, because you can literally just throw whatever you want in there with some water or milk, whatever base you're going to use, throw it in there and use it. This also is a very good time, since soup time is here, to make bone broth. If you don't know about bone broth, this is, you want to make it from either beef bones or chicken bones. Make sure they're organic, because you don't want any of the nasty stuff in there. Plus, you don't get the nutrients out of those bones that you do the natural grass-fed animals. But anyway, bone broth is excellent, excellent for inflammation. It's good for your joints. It's good for your gut. It's good for everything. And it's so easy to make. All you do is you take your bones, whatever they are. If you have your whole chicken, you can just go ahead and cook your whole chicken. But you cook the bone part of them for 2 days in your crock pot until everything is out of it and your bones are, you know, kind of mushy. And then a whole crock pot full of it will give you soup base for an entire month. So that's a great, great option. Definitely take advantage of crock pots. Take advantage of anyone who offers to help you or bring you a meal. I don't know, that's all I can think about for right now. So I'm going to pass it back to Natalie.
Well, Vanessa could not be on today, but she had a very good tip that I've heard before, but I still don't do it. And now I read her tip again, and she says, the tip that I can give you is to line all baking and roasting pans with tin foil so that she doesn't have to scrub them after. Just roll it up and throw away the foil. And every time I see that tip, or I think about it, or it's in a YouTube video, I'm like, oh, that's so smart. I need to do that. And I still don't do that. I'm still kind of like scrubbing all the pots. But that's a very, very, very good one. So Vanessa, thank you very much for that one. Tina.
I would just like to add, along with lining your pans, there are bags that you can put in your crock pot and cook in the bag. And then all you have to do is pick the bag out, and you can even just lay the bag in whatever leftover container you want and just kind of scoop it out. And then you don't have to clean your crock pot, well, the lid, but you don't have to do all that scrubbing. And sometimes those crock pots are just so heavy to try and lift into the sink. I love the liners. So back to you, Nat.
That's a very good one. I see Christina has something to add as well.
Yes, I do. I have an even better idea. My husband does the dishes. So, I mean, it was always, I cook, I love to cook, and I always had to do the dishes, and he loves to do the dishes. So we share that we share the duties. So that makes it easier. But yeah, I do the liner, the liner in the, on the pans for him, so he doesn't have to do that stuff. But that was it. I just wanted to, maybe somebody else could do the dish. I used to have to do the dishes when I was a kid. My parents never did dishes. We had to clear the table, do the dishes by hand. So now it's like, what, the kids just get up and leave the table now. So that's what I'm going to suggest. Start delegating. I'm going to go back to the beautiful lady in the middle. What, will you tell me your name, please? Again, what's your name in the middle?
Lois.
Lois. I can't see the first part, so, and I've never met you before, so this is the first time. Lois, I'm sorry. How about you? What do you think?
I'm right there with you on delegating, if possible. Unfortunately, some of us Spoonies are single and on our own, so when it comes to that, if you're just by yourself cooking for yourself, or even if you are a single mom, single dad with little ones, I know that I've had a Spoonie dad friend who was a single dad, and so you have to find ways, especially if you have little ones that you can't delegate dishes to, find ways to cut corners and help yourself, like the liners, like the aluminum foil baggies. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought with my brain fog. Oh, I was going to say another thing, for those people that are, single and don't want to have a whole lot of extras or just don't eat a whole lot, you can take things like eggs and cheese and onions and make little egg cups in a muffin tin, and you can use the throwaway muffin liners. You could throw potatoes in there. If you can't eat eggs, it could just be potatoes and meat, whatever you want. And then you have these, you cook them up, and then you've got pretty little things. Think of little things like that that you can do. And I'm sure you already do things that you're not aware of in your day that will help you cut those corners or help you save those spoons. All right, back to you, Christina.
I know. I've been gone 2 weeks, so I have a lot of old talk, but you just reminded me, Lois. This is going to sound bad, but when I was I just had my birthday party in Overland Park, Kansas, with my brother and family, big family, and then I went to take care of my grandson for a week because my daughter went to Chicago. Well, I decided I wasn't going to be doing any dishes, so I bought paper plates and plastic forks and knives and plastic cups and napkins and everything. And I know it sounds like, oh, you're hurt, but we recycle everything. So we are major recyclers. So everything that we hardly throw anything away. So if you will buy, don't buy the styrofoam plates, but if you just buy paper plates and stuff, that'll save you. So I know it sounds awful. I feel really bad for saying, but it is a big help, like for being alone and everything. My parents just went to paper at the end, and my mom was like all about China and stuff, but she was a paraplegic. But at the end, just using paper plates every night for dinner. And I was like, oh my gosh, how could you do that? But now I do it sometimes because it just saves, it really does save time, especially when you're having a flare. So back to Natalie.
Yeah, exactly. When, well, usually when I have people over, when I plan to have people over, but then later on I don't really feel so well, I will put out the paper plates and the throwaway cups and stuff. So that's a very good one. One that also helps, I have two different tips. I don't usually have a lot of problems standing, but I know a lot of people have problems standing. And it would be really good to just have a chair in the kitchen. Just put a bar stool, or if you can't sit on a bar stool, just like a little, I have these steps that my daughter uses. It's like an IKEA thing with two steps. It's like a wooden stool. It's very comfortable to sit on, well, not for long, but to rest on. And I just use that to sit in the middle of my kitchen. And then the other thing I do, when I cook broth or have something in the oven, something that you don't necessarily need to stay next to, I will forget that I'm cooking. So I have to set the cooking alarm. I have this little egg that you kind of just wind up and it goes to a maximum of an hour. And I will just set it. So if I have my bone broth, what I do for my bone broth, let's say chicken, I will roast the whole chicken. I'll take all of the chicken off, the meat, and all the bones and all the goo and all the muscles, that I will cook into a broth for about 5 hours. Well, obviously, I'm not just going to roast it for 3 hours and then cook it for 5 hours and stay in the kitchen. So I'm totally going to forget I'm doing that because I'm doing something else, or I fall asleep, or I'm working and I'm distracted, or I will even go out of the house and forget that, you know, the oven is on. So all very important stuff to remember. So I just put my kitchen alarm, and just the sound of the ticking like reminds me literally every second that something's on. And if I leave that room and I will go to another room, my kitchen alarm is really loud, so it will go off. And I only use my kitchen alarm if I'm really cooking. I don't set my phone alarm. I don't put, you know, other things. It really needs to be one specific alarm that you know means the kitchen. So for me, that's my little kitchen alarm, because I can set my phone alarm and then it will go off. And I'm like, do I need to take my medicine? Did I have an appointment? Why is my alarm going off? Did I have to do a work thing? So this one is really specifically for the kitchen. I will be cooking my broth for 5 hours, and you know, maybe I'll even take a nap, but I will set the alarm, which is a maximum of an hour. So every hour I'm reminded. And if I hear the little ticking, I'll be reminded, oh yeah, something's cooking in the kitchen. So even when I just heat up my pan, sometimes I will fry sweet potatoes because I'm not allowed normal potatoes. So I'll make potato chips and stuff from sweet potatoes. But if you put the oil in, it needs to like heat up for 10 minutes. I'm not going to stand there for 10 minutes because that's exhausting. So I'll sit down on the couch or sit down and look at my phone and totally forget that I was heating up the oil. So I'll just put the alarm for about 8 minutes. And then the alarm will go off. When you're like in the kitchen and I'm cooking, I feel kind of stupid putting this thing for 5 minutes while I'm right there. But I will forget even if I'm there, or I will think, oh, I need to pee. And I will be back in time for, you know, my heating of the oil. And then, you know, I will totally forget that I was doing that. So that's my version of cooking with brain fog. I have this little pink, I'm going to go and get it and show it later. I have this little pink egg, and that's my timer to not forget that I'm cooking. So those are my most important tips. I know Tina went through the comments on our Facebook page, our Spoonies for Life Facebook page. We've asked the question, like, do you have any tips to share? Do you have any recipes to share? And Tina was so good to look at them for me today. So maybe you can share some of those, please.
I think we have covered most of the main ones. A lot of people do rely on their crock pots, and making big batches at once for throughout the week. One lady, and I forgot to write her name down, has a group cook once a month, and I thought this was pretty interesting, where I think it said like 16 people get together and they make batch meals for however long, but everybody brings the stuff for their meal and then they make their individual meals. I thought that was really interesting. I've never done it with a bunch of people, but I'm sure that would give you a great variety. One other thing was planning ahead. Somebody had mentioned, and this is something that I did more when my kids were all home. I was a little obsessive about I would go through, and because we were on a tight budget, I would get all the local coupons, and then when the computer ads were beginning to be a thing, I would print them off the computer as well. I'd cut all the local coupons and then see what I could make from those, and then I'd make my list. It was kind of obsessive. But one thing I did that really, really, really was a great thing for me was I made a grocery list for myself that kind of went along the lines of my grocery store that I went to the most often. So the items that I would normally get when I went in the door, the produce, the bread, then the next section was the meat section. And just those items that I would normally keep on hand, I made into a grocery list for myself on the computer. And then I would just print one off, and I would go through the kitchen and put check marks next to what I needed to pick up. And because it was kind of, it kind of took some time in the beginning to set it up, but it was really such a time saver. And for brain fog, it was excellent, because before I left for the store, I'd look through my cabinet and I'd look at my list and I'd just, make tick marks instead of trying to remember, oh my gosh, I wonder if I have, this little ingredient that I need for this meal when I got to the store. So I would do my coupons, and then I would make my meal ideas, and then I would make my list, and it was kind of crazy, but it was wonderful when I had 4 kids at home. So then I had planned ahead what meals I was going to have throughout the week and made sure I had all of the ingredients for each meal. At that time, I did some of the prepping ahead for freezer meals. So that was another big tip, was the planning ahead. So you're not making that last minute trip to the store for, oh my goodness, I don't have the potatoes, or I don't, have parsley or something like that. The other one that we've kind of touched on was pre-cooking the meat. 2 different people had also mentioned that they buy big packs of hamburger and they'll fry it up with either onions or whatever spices. And then, like with my little Ziplocs, they, pack it up ahead of time. So when they were going to make a meal that called for the hamburger, they'd just pull that out and they'd be able to add that right away. And you didn't have to get the pan out and cook and fry and everything ahead of time. A lot of people had mentioned buying, like Christina had said, the pre-cut steamer bags. A lot of the ingredients that all you have to do is take the bag and microwave it, or steam it, or just dump it in the pot. I think those were the main ones that I had seen. Natalie?
Thank you so much. That sounded all very good. Also, the pre-cooking the meat, I do that too. I can only get my organic meat here once a month. It's ridiculous. I can only order it the 1st of the month, and then it will come in on the 15th, and I have to order enough for the whole month. So I don't want to stack my freezer with like 7 kilos of uncooked meat. So what I do when I pick up the meat, like I said with the chicken, because I will get a chicken, and I will roast my chicken in the oven. So that night we'll have a nice fresh roasted chicken, but we don't finish the chicken. We like eat the legs, and I really like the crunchy skin, so I'll eat that. But the fillets I'll take out and I'll pull them into little pieces, and I use the Ziploc bags that Tina showed me. My freezer is full of that. So I will put that in a Ziploc bag, and that will be my chicken fillet. Then the bones I will boil into a broth, and the broth I will do in Ziploc bags into the freezer as well. I will get like minced beef, and I will cook up 2 kilos completely full with all the spices and sometimes some garlic. And well, I have to stop doing onion, and I always used to do onion, but I can't handle onion anymore, so garlic and the spices. And I will put those in small portion-sized Ziploc bags. What else? I make pumpkin. Like I said, it's I personally really like it. It's pumpkin, yellow sweet potato, and I recently also added carrot. So you cook everything until it's a mush. And then just mix it together, and you pour in a little bit of salt and let's say 3 pinches of cinnamon. So it has a mild sweet flavor, not too much. And that's very easy also in the Ziploc bags, or just only pumpkin puree. And what I do when I need a fast meal, I can get out, for example, one of the pumpkin puree ones, the pumpkin sweet potato. And I can just mix some minced meat, and I will have a mash. And that is very fast. I just have to basically defrost it and heat it up and mix it together. So that's how I make my easy meals. I can't do salads now, but I used to really live on salads. For me, I can make, how do you call that? Like a meal salad. English is still my second language. Sometimes I don't know a word, I'm sorry. But I will make like a big salad that's like a whole meal. And the base of my salad was always the same, but because you change the little ingredients, you can make it taste different every time. So my base is lettuce, tomato, cucumber, and red pepper. That's my base. Then I will add a nut or a seed. So I will do pumpkin seeds and walnuts, and then I will sprinkle a little bit of feta cheese on it. So that's one salad. I can do the same base, but then I'll put cashew nuts and some of the chicken inside, the chicken breast. So that's a completely different salad. And I can even do the chicken salad 2 ways. I can do it with a little bit of lemon and olive oil for the sauce, but I can also do it with like I will do Greek yogurt and some salt and curry spices to make it into a curry salad. So then it's the same ingredients, but only different sauce. And I've now told you, I think about 4 or 5 different salads you can make, and it's not really difficult to remember. So that really used to be, and I hope I can get back to that if they fix my stomach, so I can eat that again, because it's making me really hungry. So that's a salad. But what I do now, because I can't have anything cooked, and I still like, it's really hot here. I live in a very warm place. I think it's the same temperatures as the desert in Las Vegas, because if Lois and I talk, it's usually the same temperature. So it's really hot. So I don't really like eating cooked stuff 3 to 4 times a day. So I just recently figured out a salad that I really like. It's the white sweet potato that I will cook, make into a mash. And I will make the mash, because I'm not allowed milk, I will make it with just water and some salt. And then I let it cool. I will add a whole can of tuna in olive oil, and I'll cut up olives. And I'll mix that together into a cold tuna potato salad, which a lot of the times I will get for breakfast or something. It's very easy. It stays good for 4 or 5 days. There's nothing that really goes bad in canned tuna and olives and potatoes. So I can have it in the fridge for like 4 or 5 days. I make a big batch, and then every day I add a little bit of my my potato salad to basically anything I eat. So yeah, those are my salads. I don't know, does anyone have some simple recipes to share? Tina?
I don't have any handy, and to remember off the top of my head is not a good thing. But I do want to mention on our Pinterest page, there is a board that has a lot of these make-ahead meals, crock pot meals, and freezer meals. So if you want to check out the Spoonies for Life Pinterest page, there's a board for quick and easy meals. Christina?
I was going to add, I do know that my husband, Brian, which you met several weeks ago, he makes this stuff called taco soup, and I think it was a Weight Watchers thing, but he makes like a huge batches of it, and it's like our go-to. I mean, the kids love it. I love it. He loves it, and it's good for you. It's healthy. There's really nothing in it. Well, the only thing is it has beans in it, and beans are inflammatory for me, of course. But for people that they aren't, I'm going to put the recipe on Facebook on the Spoonies for Life support group, and I'll also put it on my own Facebook page and Twitter or whatever, Instagram, whatever. And that way you guys can get the recipe that are watching. If you want this recipe for taco soup, just make it in big batches. You can freeze it, get it out, and just eat it like it's a whole meal. It's a meal, and it's really easy to make. You just throw all this stuff in. But the kitchen sink, don't throw that in there. So that's what I think, that we should all have some go-tos like that, like some just, I can't cook tonight. Like, Natalie, you're probably like, I can't, I don't know what I'm going to do. That's how I'm feeling right now, but I don't have any go-tos because I just got home yesterday. And Brian cooked last night. So I don't have anything to go to yet. So maybe I'll make some spaghetti and dig some of that tomato gravy out of the freezer. That's a good idea, huh? Okay, so that's really all I have to add. I'll go back to Natalie or Lois, actually, because I don't think then last minute to add to it.
I do indeed. Thank you. I just wanted to add one of the things I used to do, my go-tos, my quick and easies, was like the instant potatoes, instant things like that. For those of you that, of course, if you're like me, you need to avoid processed and avoid the junk that's in a lot of those easy-to-make, ready-made things. Trader Joe's, Sprouts, and Whole Foods, and I know across the country there's a whole other chains of natural grocery stores, but if you go into those places, they have a healthier version, a good for you version of all of those things. So you can find the instant potatoes, you can find the already chopped up veggies. The price at Trader Joe's, honestly, was not that much more than my grocery store, so my bill was not very much higher than what I usually pay. Now, if you go Whole Foods or Sprouts, it might be a little bit more, but if you need to save some spoons and you also don't want to inflame your body, you got to kind of weigh out which is the better, option for you. So I just wanted to mention that there are still, even if you're in the avoid the anti-inflammatory food groups, there's still options to help you cook quickly out there. So that's all I wanted to add. Back to you, Natalie.
Yes, we are going to put the recipes that we talk about in the show into an article and put it on the website. I will put the link below in the text field, and so you can find it on the Spoonies for Life website after we stop airing. We're gonna write it down and put it on there. So go to easy recipes. I think we had like 6 different ones shared, and we'll put that into an article. And like Tina said, on our Pinterests, there's a whole board And feel free to share your own, obviously. You know, we also want to hear from you. So if you have something to share, let us know, and we can add it to our Pinterest, and we can add it on our website. And we'll probably do this topic sometime again. I know there's a Spoonie cookbook in the making. So yeah, that I just wanted to throw out there. I just ran to the kitchen and I got my timer. So this is my little eggy timer, my pink eggy timer. It's really loud. I can't put it on. It's evening for me. My daughter's asleep, so I can't let you hear the loud ring, but it's very, very loud and I will hear it anywhere in the house. And it gives this nice tick-tocky sound so you won't forget that you're cooking. So just wanted to show that. Well, we're coming kind of to the end of our show, so I don't know if anyone had something else to add, maybe another tip that you forgot to say, or maybe another recipe, Tina?
Oops. I did have just another little, well, a couple little things as far as tips. I have a real meat and potatoes husband, and so I do a lot of cooking from scratch. One of the things I use a lot, and I wasn't going to drag it in here because it's heavy, but is the KitchenAid mixer, not the little hand one because I get hand cramps, but I use my stand mixer probably 3 times a week for everything from mixing like meatloaf. You can actually cook chicken breasts and just put them in chunks about this big and throw them in there, and it actually shreds it for you. For squash, if I'm preparing squash to freeze, I'll bake the squash and then I'll throw it in there and just run it so I can just put it in the packs. Mashing my potatoes, I hate mashing potatoes, but we have them frequently. And like Lois said about the processed, my husband will not eat a processed potato. So I make them from scratch every time we have mashed potatoes, and I just dump them in my mixer. It's just so much easier to, like I said, shred and mix and blend. And the other thing, I have a hard time opening jars, and I love these little gadgets. It's from Target. It's OXO brand, and you just slide it over the top of the jar, and it's got a nice fat handle, so for turning, it's wonderful. Some of them you get the little rubber thing, and I don't have enough grip to hold the little rubber piece over the jar to open it, but since this has nice little ridges on the inside, it grabs that jar, and it goes down to I can open like my vanilla flavoring, or little tiny tops like that, up to like the big pickle jar. I mean, it's really a wonderful gadget. And then one of my last tips, if you have a cookbook, or I especially look for cookbooks that have a spiral binding, because they can lay flat, so you're not trying to hold a page open, things like that. If you keep a lot of recipes, which I do because I cook a lot, I get these little photo albums, and because it's a small one, I'll have one. This is my cookie one, so I just slide my little index card in the sleeves. So I have my little recipes in the sleeves there, and it lays flat open also. So like I have one for soups, and I have one for cookies, and because they're smaller, it's so much easier than trying to juggle a big cookbook and do recipes. So those are a few things that I use pretty much every day. So does anybody else have tips like that? Natalie? Oh, looked like Christina had one.
No, I don't have a tip, but that sounds like way too much work right now. I mean, for people that are watching, I'm looking at going, hello, that's way too much work. There's no way I'm gonna get out a big blender and put some stuff in the blender, and then I'm gonna put all this stuff in write all this stuff on a next card, and then put it in there and be organized. I mean, there's no way. My daughter does that. I don't know how you do it. Like probably because right now I'm having a flare, so I'm just like, just hearing that makes me so tired. But
can I just say this is low effort for me compared to what I used
for
to
me,
do.
it would be a big effort. I mean, really, for me, that's a lot. So I just have to be like, okay, I don't like eating. My husband doesn't like the processed potatoes either. So you know what he does? It's like, you want potatoes, you cook them. So he does. I say, you want, so he does it. And one thing I will get, and my sister-in-law Terry, shout out to Terry, Adenolfi cooker. And man, I'm getting one of those things, and they're so cheap. And you just throw the rice in, put some water in there, close it, and boom, you're done. That basanti, or is it called basani rice? Not the jasmine, but the other. I don't know. It starts with a B as in boy. Oh, whatever. But anyway, you put the stuff. You just put the dry rice in there, and you can cook the whole grain because that's what we use. And it just cooks it right up. And I like that. And I like to have rice like every night. Husband and the kids. So I'm gonna get a rice maker. That's what I learned from this show. That's it.
Thank you. Well, I think we've had a lot of tips that were shared, a lot of tools that we can use. Don't be afraid to use the tools if you like to cook a lot, like Tina, or if you like to cook little, like Christina. There's something for everyone. So I hope that you've enjoyed our cooking show. We should have like a cook with spoonies in the kitchen show. But we're gonna put the recipes that we've shared in an article, like I said. So you can check us out at spooniesforlife.com. We also have a shop where we sell Spoonie merchandise. That's spooniesforlifeshop.com. So check that one out as well. And we will see you next week in our next episode of Spoonie Space. For now, we're on every Tuesday, live on YouTube. So subscribe to our channel. You'll get a notification whenever we go live or when we upload a new video. And we hope to see you again next week. So thank you for watching. Bye.